Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever it is, wherever you are. Thank you once again for listening to the Backlog Busting Project. This is episode 14, and it is episode 3 of Metal Gear Month. It is going to be, oddly enough, the episode for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. We're going to get right into it. I'm Wes. With me, as always, is Randy.
Man, didn't I just see you last week?
Yeah, and then we decided to gush all over to you, and then I made the decision to pay tribute to Rowdy Roddy Piper, and also make a whole bunch more work for myself and you by going to one episode a week for this month.
Great.
Yep.
More work.
Indeed.
Love it.
Yep.
Which is great for us, because we're so great at doing work.
Yeah. Well, at least it's about a series we love. At least we're not doing a month on, like, Hydrophobia Prophecy and Hotline Miami and Earthbound. I threw that last one in there for you. You're welcome. So, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, released November 17th, 2004 on the PlayStation 2. And, of course, we've waited on the HD Collection, which, again, released November 8th, 2011. So, this game is held up by a lot of people to be one of the best games of all time, especially on the PS2.
I want to meet those people.
Oh... Oh, we're going to have some fun with this one, aren't we? Because I actually agree with most of those people.
We'll get into it.
Yep. So, this game, you are Naked Snake. You start the game as Naked Snake, and you are...
Thank God you're not actually naked, though.
Well, from the top down, if you want to be. Or...
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
the naked camo. There's literally naked camo where you don't have a shirt on. Anyway.
But that's just the top, not the top down.
Shit, I did phrase that wrong, didn't
I?
Anyway.
That's where I went, whoa.
Okay then.
Anyways, I do like that Naked Snake meant that you're going into the mission with basically nothing.
Yeah.
You're naked and whatever.
So basically, you start the game off. You're infiltrating Russia because you're trying to get a scientist that wants to defect past the Iron Curtain, and it's called the Virtuous Mission. And your backup team is a man by the name of Major Zero, lady by the name of Paramedic, and then a guy by the name of Sigint. And you play as Naked Snake. You make a halo jump into the jungles of Russia, and you're sneaking through the jungle to try and get to Sokolov, the scientist. Okay,
so call me dumb, but is a halo jump an actual thing, or were they making fun of Halo?
A halo jump is an actual thing.
Okay,
it's high altitude, low.
Because I just remember them saying the first halo jump, and all I ever think about is a halo jump in the game Halo, and them going, well, we were doing it first now.
Yeah. No, okay. It's an actual thing.
Okay.
It's a high altitude, low opening,
okay.
Is the acronym. So, you do that, and you go through, to try and find Sokolov, and while you're getting there, you also get a call from your former mentor, the boss. Well, I say former, she still kinda is.
Yeah.
But,
you just hadn't seen her for a long time.
Yeah. And, you guys are so close, she can tell you've lost weight by the sound of your voice.
It's creepy.
Yes. Very much so. Anyway, so you continue to, sneak past guards in the jungle, and you get to the facility where Sokolov's being held, and, you, try to extract him out, and that's when you meet Ocelot for the first time.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Although I did kind of have to laugh at his little cat call thing he has.
Yeah, that one was weird. But I just love the fact that, obviously you knew Ocelot from the first two games. Mm-hmm. Mostly the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And such a grizzled veteran, and he knows all this stuff, and he's shooting bullets off walls. But here, even though really you're kind of a rookie yourself at this point, you're still way out.
Yeah, you're still way out of his league. Yeah. That thing's that you're using a revolver technique for that. Oh, revolver and Ocelot, huh? Weird.
Yeah. It's just the touches they do with his character.
Yeah,
I will say are amazing, and I love again that they put him in here where he's such this cocky rookie that thinks he's the shit, but Snake, every chance he gets, just puts
completely wrecks his shit. Yeah. Like, and then Ocelot gets his comeuppance because this is where he tries that reload technique, right? And it jams on him.
Yes.
And Snake basically kicks his ass 5 ways to Sunday. Anyway, so you begin to extract Sokolov, and he tells you, the weapon I'm developing cannot fall into the wrong hands. It's the Shagohod. It can launch it can launch these missiles from really rough terrain. You need to keep an eye out for this. Anyway, so you're beginning the extraction, and you get to this bridge, and all of a sudden bees swarm you. And, you're fighting them off, and shit goes pear-shaped. The boss comes in, she defects, and Sokolov is recaptured, and you meet the boss of this group that's trying to destabilize Russia, and it's a man by the name of Colonel Volgin. And they tell you a bit about how the boss is defecting, and Russia's going to kick America's ass, all that. And the boss basically kicks your ass, breaks your arm, and dumps you over the side of the river. Or the side of the bridge into the river. While recapturing Sokolov, and this is where you also first meet the Cobras. So, you're floating down the stream after having completely failed your mission, and, the boss then, and the helicopter right away, Volgin goes, well, you brought me these Davy Crockett portable nuclear missile launchers, which I'm amazed that's actually a thing. Like, it was actually a legitimate prototype weapon at the time. But Volgin goes, you know what? Just for funsies, I'm going to nuke that facility. Just completely out of nowhere goes, but, I mean, I'm sure he actually wanted things to play out like they eventually did, which we'll get to in a second. But anyway, so he nukes this facility, and you, in your broken state, get to watch as this nuke goes off, like, a couple miles away from you, I think it is. And, as you're watching this nuke go off, you also get treated to, one of the main mechanics of Metal Gear Solid 3. You're introduced to, curing yourself using the survival viewer, because obviously getting your ass kicked by the boss and then thrown off a bridge from a great height into a river.
Yes.
And then bouncing along the river fucked up a few things in your body.
Okay, so before we get any further, thoughts on that mechanic?
Didn't really bother me any. I actually kind of liked it, because it, made you kind of go, oh, hey, doing dumb shit has consequences, whereas, in previous Metal Gear games, you didn't really lose that much life for, like, dropping from a great height. Unless you dropped from a height, large enough to insta-kill you, like dropping from, the elevator shaft at the top of, one of the struts in Metal Gear 2, or Metal Gear Solid 2, excuse me, you didn't really take too much fall damage. Whereas in Metal Gear Solid 3, if you just go, fuck it, I'm going to drop off the top of this mountain, you're gonna break a few limbs, So it made
you get shot, then you have a gunshot wound, you have to fix, and that, this and that. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great addition to the gameplay. My issue is it takes you completely out of the gameplay. Because the thing with it...
You have to go into the menu and then go to the survival
I like
viewer.
that. I mean, obviously, in this game, health regenerates. As long as your stamina's up. The more stamina you have, the faster you regain your health. But you can't regain at a certain point if you have broken stuff or cuts or gunshot wounds, because you have the red part on your meter saying you can't go past this unless you fix all this shit.
Yeah.
Don't even change the way it works, but I wish you couldn't be able to do it while in combat. Which would have made it mean more.
That's a fair point, yeah.
Because then you'd have to go off. Because it was like, you'd be in the middle of a boss fight and go, hold up, you shot me. I gotta dig it out with my knife and bandage it up and all that stuff. It's like, it would have made it mean more, other than just a time waster, if once you get shot and that red bar starts showing up, you're screwed until you can get away from everything. So, I mean, it's just one of those nitpicky things. I'm not saying it's terrible. So that was one of the additions. The other addition to this game is a camo system, which I will say that whole tutorial level is great at kind of showing you how to mess with it and that kind of stuff. What did you think of the camo system in this game?
Again, I didn't really mind it, but then again, for the most part, I ignored it. Like, apart from, like, coming into a general area and going, oh, hey, I need to switch to, the green camo, or going, oh, hey, I'm in a facility, better switch to the splitter camo, or, whatever, or, the squares camo and splitter face paint. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I didn't really, go too crazy on managing it, which I think a lot of people did, and that's why, a lot of people had some issues with the camo system.
I actually really liked it. I was with you where I didn't change it every time. It wasn't like, I'm by a tree, so I'm going to be brown, and now I'm away from the tree, so now I'm going to switch. Because you wouldn't do that anyways. But it was like you, okay, I'm in the forest, I'm going to be green.
Yeah.
And then I'm in a building that is brownish, so now I'm going to switch to that.
Yeah.
Or this and that and the other and whatever.
Right.
But I really liked it because it was like just an added thing that would be going on in this time.
Yeah.
Where he's keeping all these uniforms is a whole different story.
Yeah.
Which gets way crazier in Metal Gear Solid 4, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty funny that in Metal Gear Solid 3 you can only hold so many things.
Yeah.
But the rest can go in your backpack.
Yeah,
which is a giant ass backpack.
Yeah,
so
it's a portal to hammer space. Don't question it.
But I mean, besides that, I like that mechanic, and I like how it added things, and I like how it really had real game consequences. Like, if you didn't have the right camo on, you were going to get spotted a lot easier. Like, especially still in that tutorial stage, I could be in grass a little bit out, and this guy walked by me. And he's not going to see me because I'm at like 80%. So I liked that it really helped with the sneaking part of the game, which is something I think, as we talked about last week, that they kind of got away with in Metal Gear Solid 2 as far as the sneaking stuff. I mean, yeah, you could still sneak and stuff, but it kind of relied more on your gun. And this one went, here, now you're in an kind of open area. I still don't think the areas were as big as people claim for a lot of this game, but it was more focused on the sneaking parts, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, completely in agreement there. Anyway, you've made several references to the tutorial area, which for our purposes is basically the entirety of Virtuous Mission, which we just got done recapping. So Virtuous Mission ends, and you have your little plot reset basically, where Zero visits Naked Snake in the hospital while he's recovering from being thrown off a goddamn bridge and being in close proximity to a nuke. And Zero goes, hey, I can save us all from being tried for treason. We need to go back into Russia, kill the boss, and prove we had nothing to do with the nuke. If we could stop Volgin too, that would be nice. And I'm sitting there, and, I hadn't thought of this before, the first time I played this game, because I think I was still in awe of how awesome the intro was and how awesome Snake Eater was. Which, by the way, Snake Eater the song is fucking amazing. And I will fight anybody who says otherwise. But I kind of noted it down while I was playing it for this series, because when you think about it, even for Kojima, this stretches a little bit of credibility. Because the CIA is telling Naked Snake to go on this mission to, kill his mentor and everything, less than a week after he has broken 4 bones and been in close proximity to a fucking nuclear device detonating. It's like, I know you're still probably, radioactive, and also you have 4 broken bones that are barely mended, but hey, solo sneaking mission with very few items. Get on it.
Well, he went into the menu, and he put splints on his broken bones, and used a scrubber, I guess, to get the radioactivity off of him. And he was fine. I mean, it was alright.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, anyway, you get shot in a missile this time, basically, a missile drone. Missile delivery system into Russia this time,
Yes.
And now your first objective is to go back to where you met Sokolov and meet up with Adam. Is the code name given to your contact?
Which we just said that place got nuked, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look like it.
Yeah.
Or it's still standing.
I don't think it was a direct hit. I think he may have missed the mark a little bit. It still got a little bit of the damage, but it wasn't like a
crater.
Yeah. But anyway, so you on your way there, you meet up with you confront the boss again. She kicks your ass again, and goes, "You can't beat me. Go home." But you still soldier on, and you get to the facility again, and instead of Adam, you find Eva. Yeah, Adam and Eve. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so, Eva proves her loyalty to you by killing some guards that snuck up on you. Well, I say snuck up when she's, riding a goddamn Triumph motorcycle, one of the loudest motorcycles ever, in the middle of the Russian jungle in the dead of night. Like, who the fuck's not gonna come investigate that? But anyway, she meets up with you, gives you the information you need, and, you keep going, to try and rescue Sokolov and stop whatever Volgan's planning. And the next step in this is you have to find some way to get to where Sokolov is being held. And along the way, you have another encounter with Ocelot. And I kind of liked that encounter with Ocelot because you're having basically a Wild West standoff almost.
I thought of it as a weird game of peekaboo.
Yeah. Well, and when I say Wild West standoff, the cutscene beforehand literally has like a cut to their eyes stare down, right?
Yeah.
Like from an old Western movie, and a tumbleweed blows by. Which is like, okay, laying on a bit thick here, but okay, sure, whatever. Yeah. And so you defeat Ocelot, and suddenly you're swarmed by bees again. And in trying to avoid the bees, you fall into a crevice, which is dimly lit, and that part annoyed me as a kid. Like back when like Snake Eater first came out, I spent ages in that tunnel because I could not find the torch or the night vision goggles.
I found the torch. I can't remember if I found the night vision goggles. I think I did after a while, but I have to say I got lost in it for a while when we played it for this project. It was like I went down this tunnel. Maybe
I got a little bit lost, but not as lost as I know. Like I remember getting the first time around.
I think the one part that got me is, and it's all games that do this. Mm-hmm. I'm not a little nitpicky, but there's a part where it's breaking off two different sections where, like, if you go through it one, you look down and there's a gun. So you have to jump down there and get it and back your way out around. But when you're down in that lower area, it looks like you can reach up and just jump. Yeah. And grab it, which you can in this game. But for that one part, it was 3 inches too tall, I guess. Yeah. And you just couldn't do it.
Yeah. So, you find your way through this crevice and you encounter the first member of the Cobras, and that is the Pain. And I'm sorry, there's a fan webcomic out there called The Last Days of Foxhound that does some of the backstory and of the Metal Gear Solid 1, and then at one point it goes into Metal Gear Solid 3 as well as part of the backstory. And their characterization of the Pain is now all I can think of whenever I see the Pain, because every time the Pain is on screen in that comic strip, he goes, "I'm covered in bees."
Yeah, it's an Eddie Izzard line.
Yeah. And now every time I see the Pain, all I can think of is, "I'm the Pain and I'm covered in bees!"
He might say that. So, speaking of the Pain, I found him to be kind of a pain. Like, it wasn't it wasn't that great of a boss fight. It was just trying to swim around where he doesn't see you, but he was in the right angle where you could still shoot him. Because, you could swim and not see, and then he's off on the other side of his little island thing. It wasn't that exciting to me. I mean, you just basically swim around, pop up, shoot, swim for a little bit, pop up, shoot.
Right.
I mean, I wish there was more to it. It seemed like it was a great idea with the bees, and you had, I mean, to add
and the bee puns, yeah,
doing the swimming mechanics and stuff. But to have that many bees for it to be a shield is just goofy. But that's Metal Gear Solid for you.
Yeah.
But I just, all in all, the boss fight to me it was tedious. I think is probably the best word I can come up with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's terrible, but it was there. It wasn't anything exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what my thoughts were on it. I didn't really have any issues with it, but it was also just kind of a non-starter as a boss fight for me.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, meh, okay, sure. Yeah, just stuff them full of tranquilizers and move on. Yeah. Get a wry chuckle out of some of the bee puns, like BB gun. Yeah. Other than that, it was just kind of there. So, you get past him and you continue on your way towards, the Granin Research Facility where you're hoping to find Sokolov. He's not there, but you do find, a guy by the name of Granin who, you befriend a little bit, almost. And he tells you, more about the weapon and more about Sokolov and more about his new weapon, which is actually a Metal Gear, which I kind of found funny.
Now, tell me if I'm wrong. This is the first time you dress up as a scientist, right?
Correct.
When you meet Granin?
Yes.
I loved that.
Yeah.
That you could, again, like Metal Gear Solid 2, dress up as the enemy, and as long as you didn't do anything crazy...
Yeah.
You can get away with it, except when you got around other scientists.
Yeah.
And they went,
who are you?
Yeah, what the hell? Like the other the guards just don't care. Scientist.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I loved that. I mean, it was a pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when you really wanted to kind of search around and look at things and stuff. And then all of a sudden scientists is getting you, but...
Yeah.
But I loved that little detail.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. I think we may have skipped a cutscene with Ocelot getting to Granin, because one of my notes is why the fuck is Ocelot trying to kill Sokolov?
That's up there in the plane or helicopter or whatever too, because that's like the first time he smells Eva.
Yeah.
And tries to figure out whatever scent that he keeps smelling on her and being weird.
By the way, Eva is also kind of playing spy in the villain group, because she dresses up as basically Sokolov's mistress.
Yes. And
infiltrates with Volgin and Ocelot group. But there was a moment... they're like talking about the other members of the Cobra unit, and Ocelot starts playing that triple Russian roulette thing he does with Sokolov.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And the boss just kind of comes in and goes... Fuck you, dude. Grabs the gun, shoots it, right? Off into the distance. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, why is Ocelot trying to kill Sokolov here, given what we learn about Ocelot at the end of the game? Which is that he's, secretly an agent for the U.S. Because Ocelot should know the objective is to try and get Sokolov out of there while also stopping Volgin.
I don't think the U.S. cared. I mean, if we were... just get into that spoiler a little bit right now. To me, all that the U.S. cared about was the Philosopher's Legacy. I think they're using this situation as a way to get in. As a way to cover it up. Right. Shit's going on down here, so let's stop it. But I think his main objective was the Philosopher's Legacy.
And I guess an argument could be made that he was trying to maintain his cover with, Volgin and whatnot, because, this is something he'd be expected to do.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense, but I just remember it struck me as, why is he doing that if he's ostensibly on the U.S.'s side? But, anyway, So that happens, and then the Granin stuff happens, which I love Granin as a character for some reason. Just the fact that he is so shit-faced drunk that he does not give a shit anymore.
Yeah, he's just giving you all sorts of information.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, he tells you that, Sokolov's been moved to Groznygrad, which is like Volgan's impenetrable fortress, right? So you have to start moving in that direction. And along the way, you encounter the next boss fight is the Fear.
Which is this is the point where in the game where you can tell that I think there was probably some criticism at the lack of boss fights at 2, because 3 goes back to the way Metal Gear Solid 1 worked, where it was like have a boss fight, go 10 feet, have a boss fight.
Yeah.
I mean that's how it seems like. I mean there's a lot of cutscenes and a lot of story in it, but There's a section in this game, and this is kind of right dab in the middle of it, where there's very few sections where you actually have to get through normal enemies.
Yeah.
There's like, get through one section of normal enemies, have a boss.
Yep.
Here's some more story, here's some more whatever. Get through one section of normal enemies, here's another boss, and so on and so forth.
And to get back, and I agree with that, but let's give the Fear a little bit of his time in the sun.
Yes.
Because I actually really liked this boss fight because it was. I think it was designed to be a showcase of the food system. Because as part of like the survival gimmick, you also have to capture and eat your own food.
Yes, that's something we have not brought up.
Yeah,
yes,
like
there's
the
animals
wildlife
going around all over the place, and you can kill them. And
if you hold on to the meat too long, it spoils.
Yep.
Or
you can trank them and then put them in the cage, and
then you can either throw them at enemies to scare them if it's a snake,
yeah,
or kill them and eat them so they don't.
Listen.
Yeah.
I was joking about earlier about how this is. People think it's the greatest game, one of the greatest games of all time. There are things exactly like that where I totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying, trust me, when we get to the end of this and talk about the overall stuff, by far this is not a terrible game. It's a wonderful game and I loved it. But, best ever...
Yeah, okay,
right,
so,
So the Fear.
So, the Fear. And I actually just looked at my notes again, and I have the Fear is kind of shitty.
That's what I was trying to figure out where you're going.
And I was like, huh. It may have just been that I had a bad time with him for some reason in this particular run, but now that I look back at it and think about the fight, it's actually a well-designed fight. Because what it is he's hopping along the treetops, right? And he's got his traps and whatnot. And you have to shoot him down and, deplete his health and whatnot. And what happens though is he'll go around and scrounge for food and eat and recover his life and stamina. But if you make it so that he can't get any of the good stuff and throw some of your food out, he'll eat that. So you can, and then vomit if it's rotten or poison. And that takes out a huge chunk of his health and stamina. So, I actually took advantage of that for the time I ended up eventually beating him. And I think it was just I was having problems with some reason this run is why I took that note of it being shitty. Because now that I think about it, I actually really like the mechanics of the fight.
Yeah, I'm with you where mine was more straightforward. I never threw any of the food or anything like that. And, so I can kind of understand where you say it's shitty, because to me, there wasn't much there. There's so many different ways to kill this boss, which I think is awesome. But if you just go at it straightforward, it's not that difficult either. I kind of wish he would have been a bit harder just to shoot, and then you would have to do things like that. Go out of the box to kind of figure this kind of stuff out, like the boss we're going to talk about after this.
Yeah.
But to me, I just normal put on night vision and went to town, really, or infrared, I guess.
Yeah.
And just kind of went to town when he would stop on a tree branch, and then would run around until I could tell he stopped, and then rinse and repeat there. But again, it's a very cool thing that you are able to defeat him in several different ways.
Yep. And so you beat him and move along. and you do a few infiltrations into more outposts, and then you come along to this big, wide open area, and all of a sudden you're getting shot at by a sniper.
It has an eyeball that comes out of its socket.
Yep. And you've seen this old sniper once before while you were kind of eavesdropping on the group, and in one of the funniest moments of the game, you could actually kill him there if you have the sniper rifle already or are really good aim in first person view. But if you didn't do that, now you're fighting the End, who is like the father of modern sniping.
Yes.
And is so in tune with nature that he actually can photosynthesize, apparently. Because at one point during this boss fight, if you knock his stamina low enough, he like says a prayer to the forest and regains stamina while this huge like god beam shines down on his location. It's actually kind of interesting. But anyway, so he introduces himself to you by way of a tranquilizer dart, which, by the way, he also does not ever shoot you lethally. He tranks you. But so that starts a kind of like a sniper versus sniper duel. Or if you're again on a fresh save and don't have the most in the gun, you have to track his location down, sneak up on him, and shoot him with the Mark 22, which is fun, but also really, really time consuming, because my tranquilizer takedown of the End took like an hour and 15 minutes real time.
Which is awesome. I love the length of this fight. I love that it tests your patience. There are kind of ways to break the fight to me, and that's kind of how I ended up beating him. Not like I planned on doing it, but I'd totally forgotten about using the directional mic. Or wasn't a directional, it was basically a directional mic.
Yeah, no, it was the directional mic. Yeah.
And stuff like that, but basically my whole thing was, the infrared goggles once I found him, and then kind of track his footsteps, and then once I thought I was close, then I would sneak.
Yeah.
Till I got to him, and then shoot him again, and then he would run off. And there was a lot of times, like, if you could get into a good rhythm, where you would shoot him, he would run off, and you would be running and see him the whole time.
Yeah.
And he would never turn around and shoot. He would just go to his next location and stop, and then it's like, alright, shoot him again, and so forth. So, I mean, there's different ways you could break it, which is fine. But I love there's multiple ways to beat the fight. I love...
Including... actually saving at the fight and then not playing the game for a solid week or turning your clock ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and then he dies of old age, which is great. So, another, just a positive thing in this, I love the length of it, and it's just, it makes you nervous the whole time, because because there's no music playing, they crank up the ambient sound. The game... I mean, obviously the system limitations kind of sucks, and then you have, this thing is now 3 different sections, so it kind of sucks. It takes you out of it a little bit going, well, he's not in this section, I guess I'll go check out this other one instead of a giant field that you could play on. So, I mean, that is a little sad, but all in all, probably one of my favorite bosses. And...
Oh, yeah.
I think when this comes out... this Thursday, so the podcast comes out this Tuesday. I believe it's this Thursday is the one where I'm doing the top 10 boss battles, and it might be number 1.
Good teaser.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the End, you take down the End, whether it's lethally or non-lethally, and he does his death cutscene. Which, by the way, I love that all the Cobras have the microbombs implanted in them. So their death cutscenes are basically them screaming out their name and then blowing up. And the End's is even funnier because he blows up and then there's a extended slow-mo shot of his dentures flying up into the air. Which kind of speaks to, again, Kojima started inserting in more of his Kojima-ness into these games, with 2 and 3. And 4, and Peace Walker, and anyway, getting ahead of myself. But but yeah, so you have the slow-mo denture pop-out action. And, you keep on moving, and you get to this long-ass ladder. And you start climbing this ladder, and all of a sudden you start hearing Snake Eater.
Yes.
And one of the funniest moments of the game, I think, is just how absurdly long this ladder is, and you're climbing it, and you're hearing Snake Eater, and it is timed so perfectly that it finishes the main vocal part of Snake Eater right as you get to the top of the ladder, where you find that there is a rat that can apparently sing Snake Eater, because if you kill or otherwise disable this rat, the music stops.
I did not know that.
It's fucking amazing. Like, I distinctly remember the first time I ever played this game. I didn't do it this time. But I got to the top, and I must have either really needed the food, or I was just really annoyed at how long the ladder was, because I saw this rat, I immediately killed it, and the music stopped. Which, again, is just Kojima being Kojima, and I fucking love it. You know? So, anyway... you proceed through a bit more of the jungle, and you meet up with the Fury. I believe at this point.
Have we met Eva yet?
Yes, we have.
I mean, since. Or is that after?
I think it's after the Fury.
I'm getting things mixed up.
Yeah, I think I'm getting things a little mixed up here.
I think it's right. I think it's the Fury, and then you get to somewhere, and that's when the eye injury happens, and then you and Eva go off to behind the waterfall or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you meet up with the Fury first.
Okay, so the Fury.
And then you climb... You do the Fury, and then you climb the mountain. And that's where you meet up with Eva and make your Groznygrad plans.
Yeah, okay.
So, anyway, so you do the Fury boss fight, and fuck this boss fight.
I don't know why you had so much trouble. I'm curious. I mean, yes, a lot goes on, especially near the end. Like, once you get him down, like, his last quarter of health, and he goes nuts. But I didn't have as much trouble as it sounds like you had in this one, so I'm just kind of curious.
Okay, so my question to you is this. Were you trank killing him?
Yeah, I trank killed every boss in this game.
Huh. Because a large part of the problem to me was that you do have a lot more options to damage him lethally than you do non-lethally. Like, if you use the survival knife on him and rip his suit apart, you can kill him pretty fucking quickly. Like, you can kill him in like 2 or 3 combos if you use the survival knife. But, since I was trying to trank kill him, I felt like, I was having a difficult time with it. I think it also might have been that I came into that fight with not a lot of health. So if I made one mistake or I turned right around into him and got roasted, I was fucked. So, that might have played a factor in it. But just for some reason, this fight I could not do cleanly for the life of me, this time around. It would be, I would get him down and then he would start going bug shit crazy all over the place and everything was on fire and I didn't, I'd get boxed in and be dead. So, to give a little bit of insight to this, you basically fight the Fury in this room that's basically 4 corridors. With, several points that you can kind of jump between corridors in the middle. And, there's elevated spots as well. And, what basically happens is the Fury is patrolling these corridors either by walking or with his jetpack. Because he has a jetpack and a flamethrower, which is a fucking amazing combination, by the way.
Yes.
And he's wearing an astronaut suit. So, which, by the way, he's wearing the helmet. How in the hell are you managing to hit him with the Mosin Nagant darts?
I don't know.
I just thought of that. Like, anyway, so,
good question.
What he will do is if he thinks he's spotted you, or he thinks you're down that aisle, or just for the hell of it, he'll just shoot the flamethrower and set that corridor on fire. And he'll do it more and more often as the fight progresses. And, if you're bad, apparently, at this boss fight like I was, you'll get boxed in by the flames, have nowhere to go, he'll track you down, and all of a sudden you're stuck in an infinite loop of getting caught on fire.
I think for me, as far as like a strategy win, it was basically just a lot of movement. There was, I mean, to try to avoid that boxing in, it was a lot of, okay, well now we're going into section, so I have to find any way to get on the other side of this map right now. And I mean, it took me a while, but it was one of those, just don't get into a situation where I only have one hallway to go down.
Right. So, you defeat him, and you climb this mountaintop, and you finally meet up with Eva again.
I could not get anywhere on this mountain without getting spotted. I had the beginning part of it, where the hills and stuff, I could do that. But once we got into the things where, like, there were little tunnels and stuff, I don't know what it was, or if I just, at this point, had gotten tired, like, maybe a little bit of Metal Gear Solid fatigue, but holy Jesus, did I get spotted so many times on this mountain. Which I also then learned that getting out of fucking caution takes forever. Because when you're in caution, especially in this mountain, lots of enemies start showing up. And I would find different ways to hide, and there's little tunnels and stuff. But oh my god, would I just sit there for like 5 minutes going, okay, now nobody's here, now everyone's kind of went back to their thing. Okay, now let me go. And I'd go another 20 feet. And there it is again. Well, god damn it! So after a while, I just said screw it and just started sprinting.
Yeah. I didn't have much trouble at all with the mountain, but I had for some reason I found the animal camo worked really well in this area, which you wouldn't think it would. But and plus I was being super cautious, and every time I even saw an enemy, I got out the Mosin Nagant and I tranked their ass. So
yeah, I didn't have that though.
Yeah. You tranquiled the end, so you should have got it.
Oh, maybe I did have it.
But anyway,
I forget. But I did tranquil the end. I'm just blanking on.
Yeah.
I had that one.
Yeah,
you're right.
But anyway,
I just didn't use it.
So the gameplay differences aside, because I don't know what you were doing. You don't know what I was doing wrong in the Fury boss fight. I don't know what you were doing wrong on the mountains, because I didn't really have
I don't know
as much issues with that. There were a few times where I got caught by the helicopter, but I think I also just ended up. Well,
I will say the mountain is also a point. Like if you're not trying to do a no kill thing, would be a blast, because they had like turret guns out there ready to take out helicopters and stuff. But
yep.
We both kind of avoided that. So.
Yep. So you meet up with Eva, and you make your plans for getting into Groznygrad, and then you have to climb back down the mountain to get to Groznygrad, which was fun.
You didn't go all the way down though, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah. You went down like 2 screens.
Yeah.
But
which again, I knew I was going to have a bitch of a time. I sprinted. Yeah. I just whatever. Once I get through this door, I'm fine.
Yeah. So you infiltrate Groznygrad, and you now know this is where the Shagohod is being held, and this is where Volgin is at, and you're doing all this stuff, right? And now your objective is to impersonate one of Volgin's lieutenants, Rykov, who, by the way, is basically Raiden's like great-great-grandfather or something.
Yeah,
almost, because they play to the hilt that it is Raiden, like his mannerisms and whatnot, right?
Like to the fact, I don't know if you could skip it, but there's a thing at the very beginning of the game where they ask you what Metal Gear game you like.
Oh yeah,
and if you pick Metal Gear Solid 2, you start with the Raiden mask. This is that whole thing,
which is fucking amazing and hilarious, and I forgot about it.
Yeah, but could you skip that part then? I guess you needed his outfit.
No, you have the mask. Like, you get the mask in any run of the game. You start with the mask for some dumb reason.
Right. But it's just, if you pick Metal Gear Solid 2...
You start with it on, yeah.
You're right, okay.
Which, now that I think about it, is kind of weird, because why are you carrying around this mask? Especially for Virtuous Mission, when you should have no reason to have that mask.
I agree. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing I had in this game. the first time I tried to sneak around, I goofed. I forget what I did. Mm-hmm. But I think I went into that. I got spotted going into the room before you could become a scientist again and just walk around. So I had the alert system going on, and I went and hid, and ended up hiding in the bathroom. And because everything was going on, he also decided to hide in the bathroom because he's a chicken. So I saw him and went, "All right, cool," and tranked him. And took him into the bathroom stall. I'm like, all right, how does this work?
Yeah.
No, it's not sneaky enough. It's not the place to go.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I can't carry him to wherever I need to go, so I basically just let myself die and had to restart. But
yeah, so I guess what you're trying to say is you kind of felt a little weird that they didn't let you take his stuff in the bathroom, and instead of what you have to do is go all the way up to the locker room and stuff him into a designated locker.
Yes.
To trigger the next scene, which, yeah, I can kind of see that. That is a little bit on the railroady side.
But, I mean, I also understand because anyone can use that bathroom, and then he'll get spotted and your cover would be blown earlier than you needed it to. But it was just like, all right.
Doesn't the cover last very long anyway, but we'll get that in a second.
It was one of those really sad things where it was like, well, I screwed up going into this room, but everything is coming up roses. He's right here.
Yep.
No, never mind.
Yep. So, you finally corner Rykov and throw him into a locker and take his clothes, because Naked Snake is apparently a schoolyard bully. Anyway, so you dress up as Rykov and you proceed into like the super double top secret area of Groznygrad. And you find Sokolov and he tells you, Shagohod's nearly ready, you gotta stop this thing. And who shows up but Colonel Volgin? And Colonel Volgin, at first he's like, "Hey, how you doing, Rykov?" And so,
he has a special relationship.
Yeah. And then just out of fuck nowhere, Volgin just goes, "Well, I'm gonna grab your crotch." And, since Volgin has such a special relationship with Rykov, he is able to tell just from grabbing your crotch that you are not Rykov.
That Snake doesn't quite size up.
Yeah,
maybe,
or vice versa.
Maybe.
Anyway, wow, we were talking. Okay, no, brain bleach. Moving the fuck on. Anyway, so you're captured and tortured, and basically, you'd get a bit more of the plot in this sequence where Volgin goes, "I know you know about the Philosopher's Legacy," which is the first time you've heard this term in the entire game.
Yes.
And he spells out what the Philosopher's Legacy is to you, which is, now that I think about it, kind of hilarious because he's trying to, he thinks you should know this already. Why is he telling you this? Again, gameplay, storyline, yada, yada, yada. But, so, this interrogation happens, and basically everybody important comes into the room. Like, Ocelot's there, Eva's there, the boss is there. Ocelot goes to do his triple Russian roulette thing again on Eva, because he finally goes, "Hey, something's not right here." Mm-hmm. And Snake puts himself in harm's way and gets a bullet through his eye for his trouble in one of the most gruesome shots in Metal Gear history, until a certain sequence in 4, which we'll get to next week. But, so, the scene ends and you escape Groznygrad and you plummet down into the river below in what almost felt like a shout out to the dam scene from The Fugitive.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so you fall down the dam into the river below and you wake up and everything seems different. And, everything's all dark. And you meet, one of the last members of the Cobra unit, the Sorrow. And in a really cool sequence, this boss fight is actually... Well, I hesitate to even call it a boss fight, because there's actually no damage done in this boss fight. Unless you walk into one of the ghosts.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, you're trudging down this river, and the Sorrow sends ghosts at you. And The ghosts are any enemy you have killed during the entire game, plus the Cobra unit, because they activated their micro bombs, even if you tranked them. So if you've been playing the game like you're Rambo, you're gonna have a bad time with trying to get to the end of the river and touch the Sorrow's corpse to end the battle, because you have to go through every single enemy you've killed. Or if you're like me and Randy and you played relatively non-lethally, you're going to get like three dodges to do and then you're done.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a relatively neat touch.
Let's just say I'm glad that it happened now and not right at the end. Because there's a certain scene that I let loose. But it was after this fight. So the fight for us was... But again, it's a really interesting boss. That's what I say in a lot of these boss fights. It was different. Yeah.
And I also like how you can take the fake... either drown yourself or take the fake death pill and then just use the revive pill and just go, fuck you, I'm done. To kind of continue the theme of alternate boss methods that this game kind of had going. So you learned the Sorrow and the boss, kind of had... The boss killed the Sorrow, several years before the events of the game. Yada, yada, yada. And so you come back from the land of the dead, basically, and your team's all freaked out. But then Eva contacts you and goes, okay, thank God you made it out alive. Let's meet up here, and I'll get you the stuff you need to take out the Shagohod, because that's our only option now. Sokolov's, back in their hands. They're expecting you. We need to just destroy the Shagohod and be done with it. So you meet up with Eva. You kind of have a touching little scene where she's all worried about your eye. Yeah. And also a hilarious scene because Ocelot actually planted a transmitter on you during the torture sequence. If you actually make it all the way through to the meetup with Eva without taking it out, there's a scene where she has to take it out and Snake has no idea what's going on. So they play a Keystone Cops routine, almost, running around the campfire.
I'm glad I didn't see that scene. Seems awkward.
Well, it's kind of funny, but anyway, especially because it's comic relief, because if you don't remove the transmitter, the areas leading up to the waterfall are full of Ocelot guards. Instead of being empty like they are if you remove the transmitter first opportunity you get. Anyway, so you go back into Groznygrad, and now you're you put the explosives on the fuel tanks to try and destroy the Shagohod.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah. I had no problem with it.
I couldn't get it perfectly, and then it turned out to be a trank fight. I know, just because once you get caught in this game, especially in this section where there's no place to hide, it's well, I'm just taking everything out. I'm just shooting everyone, and scientists are bitching. And
are you talking, re-infiltrating Groznygrad, or are you talking, in the actual Shagohod hangar itself?
In the hangar, where you're trying to put the bombs in the place.
Huh. Again, I guess this is another...
No, it's just one of those things where, I could put two of them on there, but getting ready to put that last one on, I get spotted. Huh. And then...
Because I didn't get spotted at all during that segment, and I did it first shot. So, again, it's just kind of weird little...
I'm just saying, but once you get spotted, it's a pain in the butt to get unspotted, really, in that section. So
yeah, I can see that. So... Anyway, so you plant all these explosives, and you're about to activate them, and Volgin basically comes in and goes, nope, you're not doing that. Oh, by the way, we figured out Eva's the spy. You're not destroying the Shagohod, and oh, now, by the way, I'm going to fight you hand to hand.
And by the way, the Sorrow is sneaking around with a timer.
Yeah. Showing you how long the timer is on the bombs.
This is where the game...
Turned sour for you, yeah.
Turned so sour for me.
So, basically, Volgin plot bombs a bit more on you about the Philosopher's Legacy and whatnot. And you're thrown into a CQC fight, close quarters combat fight with him. And whereas you had issues with it, again, I didn't. And I just kind of want to hear...
I hate CQC. I just always have. I mean, even playing it originally on the PS2, I just wish there was a better way for me to learn it, I guess. I mean, yes, if you look at instructions, they have, if you do this and that and whatever, but I just never used it enough, I guess, to get it down. So, going into this fight where you need to run around and then grab him and throw him down, I would run around and grab him, and all of a sudden I'm turning him around, and like the whole interrogation thing, I would do that so many times, and then he would flip me and then shoot me and piss me off even more. It's the CQC stuff in it, especially I think on the Vita, it's a lot more difficult with the way the joysticks work and that kind of stuff. So I'm sure maybe if I had played this on the PS3 or the PS2, I would have liked it a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah.
But, and I had brought this up to you, this fight and the final fight, I love the final fight. I just suck at CQC.
Yeah.
This fight was, I suck at CQC, and I found it just dumb. I mean, Volgin himself is probably my least favorite boss character, personality wise.
Yeah.
Where I just didn't care, and I have no idea how the electricity shit worked.
Yeah.
It just was way over the top, and it was one of those things, it was like, on top of the timer, and then you have to wait for him to shoot the stuff, so then he's not fully electrocuted around him, and so, it was a control thing, really, but...
Yeah. I can see that. And the fact that he's, making no effort to deactivate the bombs while, because the Shadow Hut is key to his plans, and he's just like, I'm gonna CQC fight you while the timer's still running. And, because if you do let timer run out, it, shit blows up and you're toast, right? So, anyway, you fight him, and, Eva wakes up from her unconsciousness, and you start to escape on her motorbike. And at this point, Volgin starts chasing you in the Shadow Hut. And, you can kind of tell you're in the climax of the game, because, shit's going pear-shaped all around you. And,
explain what pear-shaped means. You've said that a lot in the series.
Yeah, it's an old saying, basically meaning everything's going wrong.
What do you have against pears?
I don't have anything against them specifically, but apparently somebody does, because that's the meaning of the phrase. Anyway, so the chase sequence begins, and you're basically just trying to get the hell away from the Shadow Hut at this point. And, at one point you think you've disabled it. Or, no, the chase sequence starts out, you escape from the base, Snake and Eva both know that the Shadow Hut is still active at this point, right? Yet they sit right on the outside skirts of the base and have a conversation for a good 2 or 3 minutes. And at this point I'm sitting there like, less talking, more running the hell away. Because, you're trying to escape at this point, and you're just sitting here having a conversation.
Well, wasn't that when they were saying, okay, we have to get this thing, and the only way, because obviously bullets was doing nothing, so the only way we can do this is to get it to the bridge. So I think they were almost waiting for it.
No, I think this was before that point. But anyway, so you do the couple of motorcycle chase sequences, which, if you're not using the first-person camera, they're all really amazing action scenes. The problem is to kill most of these enemies or trank them, you have to be in first-person mode. So it's a shame that they did so much work on the cinematography in these chase sequences that you'll never see because you're sitting there in first-person mode 90% of the time.
Yeah, I understand this, and this is where my no-kill game went out the window, because I remember starting this and just sucking at tranking them and going, screw it.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. And just blowing shit up, which was admittingly way more fun.
Yeah. So, you do eventually reach this bridge that Eva had planted bombs on beforehand to, help cover their escape. But she realizes, well, if we lure the Shadow Hut onto this, there's a chance we could disable it. So there's you set up and you do the sniping and you try to destroy the Shadow Hut. And you celebrate for a while, but then Volgin, like, somehow manages to get the Shagohod to go up a sheer incline and, do this sick, nasty jump. And he starts chasing you again, and it leads into the next boss fight. And you stop him again, and he gets a really karmic death where he gets struck by lightning on top of the Shagohod, which was fucking amazing, right?
Well, what did you think of the boss fight? To me, that was one of my least favorite boss fights because there was nothing to it.
Yeah, it was pretty rote pattern,
She drives around, he follows, you wait for the right time, you shoot him.
Shoot the tread, and then
and then he spins around in a circle.
While he's disabled, while he's trying to fix that, you get your sniper rifle out, whether it's the Mosin or the SPD, and shoot him a few times. Rinse, repeat. Yeah, like, I liked the flavor of it, but the mechanics of it were, pretty bad.
Yes.
Anyway, so you killed him, but you're still being chased, and then you eventually wreck, and Eva gets impaled. And now begins, I think both of us agreed, our least favorite part of this game. For several screens, you have to escort Eva, who is grievously injured and walks really fucking slowly, and
doesn't follow you very well if you get too far away.
Yeah. And also drains stamina like a motherfucker because, to be fair, she's grievously injured, dying,
But you had just lost all your junk.
Yeah.
So it's like, now you really have to go find stuff on top of sneaking around, on top of... my alert totals probably doubled. I mean, I had a lot of alerts in this game because of the mountain and stuff, but if you take the mountain alerts and the alerts in this section, it's probably at least half, if not 2/3 of my alerts in this game.
So you get through that, and you get to, basically a crossroads, and Eva goes, this way is the plane we're escaping on. That way is the boss, and she's waiting for you, and you need to kill her. Come back to me alive. Right?
But she also said she has the Philosopher's Legacy, right? So that was more reason for her to want you to go there.
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah. I think that was kind of happening.
It was, but she goes, listen, the boss told me she's waiting for you here. She has a Philosopher's Legacy. Mm-hmm. I will get this set up while you go take care of your shit.
Yep. So, alright. So, now we get to the final boss fight of the game. And it is, versus the boss in this, beautiful field of white flowers. It's an amazingly, cinematic boss fight. She explains, her philosophy on the situation because, she basically reveals to you just about everything that's been going on. She just, why she defected, and whatnot. And then she goes, you have to kill me here or we're both gonna die because I'm sending MiGs to bomb the place to hell. So, and then the fight begins. And I'll let you take it from here because I didn't have issue with this fight, but because you were on the Vita and you weren't a fan of CQC in the first place.
Yeah, CQC drove me nuts. And I told you several times, and I put this game for 2. I beat Metal Gear Solid 4 before I went back and finished this game because it just drove me nuts so bad. Where, especially there was a point where I was one hit away and then I just fell apart because of the time and whatnot. But there is one issue. There's 2 issues I have with this fight. The first one is just mechanically. I understand where they don't want you to just unload, but... And I was trying to try and kill because obviously when you do the CQC, that's what you're taking away is stamina. So I figured that would be the best route. But you knock her down and you can shoot her twice. And then all of a sudden it doesn't take effect anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if I'm shooting you in the chest with tranquilizer darts, the third dart is going to affect you just as much as the first.
Yeah.
And that's where it drove me nuts, was being one hit away, standing over her going, why isn't this working anymore? I have 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I didn't like. I understand it adds way more drama with a 10-minute timer. But as you said, the area that you fight in is so beautiful with the white flowers and all the different hiding places. And this was your final test for everything that you've done in this game. Mm-hmm. And then, because you only have 10 minutes, it's basically, well, no, it's a CQC fight.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes. I would have loved it if it was just open-ended. You could CQC her, you could snipe her, you could hide around and sneak. I mean, you have to use everything, the camos and all this stuff, and you could have all these different ways to beat her. Mm-hmm. But you can't because there's only 10 minutes. And that was the one, like, actual gameplay thing I didn't like. The rest, just because I didn't like CQC. And I totally admit it. And I will say, this boss is going to be on that top 10 I've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Because it's an awesome boss, just...
Thematically.
Absolutely. Yeah. It just... Me and CQC did not get along, and that's my issue with it. But I can honestly admit to being... That's a personal thing. It's like, I will not downgrade this game because of it.
Yeah. Well... Again, I wasn't having too many issues with the CQC, and I also just loved it because if you time it right when she charges at you, you can actually start reversing some of her CQC. Excuse me. Gotta love it when your brain sends a signal that you need to sneeze, but then doesn't let you sneeze. Anyway, we're back now. So, throughout the game, basically every time Naked Snake and the boss have faced off, yeah, the boss has kicked his ass, but in each successive time, Snake keeps getting better. Like, he keeps, getting a bit more offense in, or managing to, not take as much damage, or whatever. And finally, in this boss fight, in the final fight, you finally start to see, okay, we can do this. I can fight her on my own terms now, with the full-scale reversals and whatnot. And I loved that part of this fight. So, anyway, you finally beat her, and she, continues some of her ethics talk and whatnot. And in one of the most player gut punch moments of all time, the cutscene ends, like the black bars go away, on a shot of Snake holding the Patriot to the boss's head. And it just pauses there. And you think you're still in cutscene, but the game makes you press the weapon button to continue.
It's just great.
Yeah. It's an amazing ending. And
though, going back to my complaint of the fight, what happened to the timer?
Good point.
So,
gameplay and story segregation, kind of a bitch.
Agree. But I'm just saying, if the timer was never there, it wouldn't make me go, Though it would also be amazing. I mean, yes, they have the talkie part, so it really takes you out of the timer part anyways.
Yeah.
But it would be really great if you sat there thinking about shooting and not, and all of a sudden the whole place blew up.
Yeah.
Oh, mission failed.
Yep. Anyway, so you've killed her, and you go to escape, and you think you're escaping, and then all of a sudden, fucking Ocelot, grabs one of the hoverboards, gets onto the plane. You have this, CQC fight in the back of this cargo plane while Eva's trying to take off, right?
But you don't control any of it.
Yeah.
It's just a great scene.
Yeah, it's an
which
amazing
is
scene.
Surprising. I'm surprised they didn't let you take control. I'm glad, because I didn't want to do any more CQC, but...
Yeah. But, and then you have one final, test of wits with Ocelot, where he does the triple Russian roulette thing again, and then you get to choose which gun you use. And there's, a couple neat branching scenes there. But basically, it ends with Ocelot going, see you around, you're pretty good, and then he fucking jumps out of a moving plane going top speed, and, skips like a stone across the water. And yet he somehow survives that, and we're gonna, just by virtue of being a character that exists in, Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 and 4, he survives face planting out of a wig going top speed. See you fuckers in the Phantom Pain! What the fuck? But, and then the ending happens, and Eva reveals she's been working with the Chinese, and she wants the Philosopher's, the Chinese want the Philosopher's legacy, and she's sorry for playing you like a fiddle the entire time. it's an amazingly well done scene. Especially with the whole spy movie motif they had going on throughout the Bond movie motif they had going on throughout the entire game.
It's a great callback to that kind of stuff. But I'm just curious what you think. I mean, obviously, it's one of those things. Well, what if this happened? And then you're like, well, we didn't have a game. You wouldn't have a game. Mm-hmm. But just say this is real life. This whatever. If Eva never shows up there and she's never a spy for the Chinese, mm-hmm. what would have happened when Snake goes to meet Adam and Adam ends up being Ocelot? Do Ocelot and Snake just start hanging out and working together to stop all this? Or do they go, hey, we've fought each other before and they're going to have a conflict? Because that was the plan, was he was supposed to meet Adam, mm-hmm. and Adam is Ocelot. Mm-hmm. But Ocelot gets there after Eva, who then decides to cover herself and be Eva, basically, and kind of go right along with that kind of stuff. I'm just curious if she was never a part of that whole picture, how that whole game plan would have worked.
That's a really fucking good question. One I've never really thought of, and I can't really think of how that would have worked on the fly right now. I imagine at that point they would have put their differences aside and worked on the mission. Because, at that point in the story, Snake didn't really have very much reason to question anything going on. It isn't until, later on, like in the Grozny Grad area, where Eva's been kind of going, why would you want to kill the boss? Mm-hmm. She's your mentor. Isn't there anything going on there? Where Eva starts kind of planting the seed of doubt, that he starts questioning anything about his mission. At the point where he was supposed to meet Adam, he's still very much in, mission mode, So I think it would have been we got off on the wrong foot, but that was before we knew we were going to have to work together. Let's get this shit done. Mm-hmm. Is what I think would have happened. Who knows, though? That would be an interesting... I'll have to think about that. Maybe it'll be one of my articles for, this month, because I am going to try and start writing a bit more. I know I've been terrible about that. But, yeah, that's a nice little food for thought to chew on. So, we're really bad at hitting times, because I just looked at the time elapsed on this episode.
Yeah.
1 hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah, well, usually they're an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Whatever. And actually, I have one more big kind of what-if question. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of the theory that goes around the internet about Metal Gear Solid 3? About how the game is a virtual mission? And you're not actually playing as him, you're playing, as Raiden, playing this whole thing. And that's one of the things that makes me actually think it might be right, is we talked about it early on, where Agent Zero is going, we're doing a virtuous mission. And he goes, a virtual mission? No, a virtuous mission. Do you think that this whole thing was just like a virtual mission? And that's why you get mission failed and turn into time paradox kind of thing? Where you're replaying events that happen?
I think if that were the case, we would have heard about it by now. Like Kojima would have confirmed it. Either in, an interview or in one of the other games. Revengeance, possibly.
Oh, he didn't work on Revengeance, did
he? He gave story input on Revengeance. Okay. But, as far as I'm aware, I'll look that up for the Revengeance episode. But, yeah, something that big would have been confirmed by now, because we're talking about an 11-year-old game at this point. At some point in the interim, he would have gone, there would have been some sort of confirmation on that theory, I think.
Yeah. I read it when I was doing research for this, and I went,
yeah, it is a nice little theory to think about, in kind of a similar vein to, this is going way off subject, but there is actually a theory about Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh yeah, where Squall's dead.
Yeah, Squall's dead.
I actually believe it. That one I think is legit. I mean, we'll get into that in a whole different... I'm sure we'll cover Final Fantasy VIII at some point.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
I actually... I've seen that as well, and the reasons that they bring up.
I think I might have actually been the one that showed that to you.
It's possible.
But
actually, like, there's a reason why I saw this the first time was I don't know if you guys have ever seen Watch Mojo. There's a YouTube channel that just do top 10s all the time. Mm-hmm. And they did a top 10 fan theories for video games. And this, I believe, was the number one. And the Squall one was on there as well, as well as obviously a few others that were great. But yeah, it was just one of those things I saw it and went,
huh, yeah.
Just because of that one line. I mean, there's no other part in the game where you go, okay, there's not like an Assassin's Creed thing where like things get all wonky. Like you see a glitch
in the Matrix, yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, okay.
So, there's one other little last story beat we need to touch on here. And that is, Naked Snake returns to the United States, after basically getting debriefed by Eva, because Eva leaves a tape behind after she deserts Snake that basically runs down how badly Naked Snake has been used.
Yes.
Right. This entire thing was a front to recover the Philosopher's legacy. The boss defected on orders from the United States, yada, yada, yada. And, Naked Snake is so traumatized by this that he basically just goes through the motions during all, the medals and whatnot. And that's where he gets the title of Big Boss, is somebody goes, "You have surpassed the boss. You are now Big Boss." in a really corny line read, but, that's par for the course for Metal Gear Solid.
Yes.
So, the game ends on him saluting the boss's grave, which is basically an unmarked grave that basically says, "In memory of a patriot who died saving the world." Yeah. And, roll credits. And, yeah. So, that is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Overall, I think it's pretty high up there on the list of best games on the PS2.
No, I'll agree with that.
And as far as within the Metal Gear Solid series, it is probably the best one to date, with the possible exception of, I'm going to go ahead and call Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain, one game. And I only say possible exception because obviously we have not played the Phantom Pain yet at this point.
Correct.
So,
but I will say my ranking is way different than yours.
Yeah.
It doesn't
surprise me.
Well, alright, spoilers, I love 4. I forgot how much I loved 4, and I'm so glad we did this project so I can go back and play it.
Yeah.
I remember, obviously 4 is very corny.
Uh-huh.
And and that's all I remembered.
Mm-hmm.
It was way over the top and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Going back and playing it, it's an excellent game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes down to the nostalgia factor of 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And I would probably put, as far as just straight gameplay, doing all this stuff, I'd probably put 3 ahead of 1. And then obviously 2 would be the last of these series. Again, it's a good game, but compared to the other 3. But we'll get into it next week with Metal Gear Solid 4, but
yeah.
It takes everything I hated about the first 3 games, like system limitation wise, and just fixes them all. Like gameplay wise, we'll get into it. Okay. Sorry. I mean, we're stretching this thing forever. I said gameplay, and I remember one of the biggest issues I had, and it only happened in this game. Why can you not walk when you're crouched?
That's, again, a very good question. I think it's also, I think crouch walking is, I want to say it has something to do with the fact that if you use the D-pad, you'll stalk and not make sound. Or not make as much sound, I should say. And maybe they just thought crouch walking was, one layer too much on top of the stalking mechanic.
But this is where it kills me. So, I mean, obviously you don't want to get caught. Mm-hmm. But you get caught, and you're running around, and you can run and hit the X button, and you do that little roll, which is very key in this, because it messes things up. Mm-hmm. But if you're like, oh crap, and you don't quite get moving before you hit X, you crouch. And then you're crawling. And then it takes way too many X buttons to get your back up, and you're already frustrated about it, and it's just...
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay. Sorry, but I just remembered how much I hated that.
Yeah. I guess, again, I love how kind of like the stark contrast in gameplay is coming out because I don't remember having too much difficulty with that. But then again, I did, I did have a bit more stealthy of a run than you did.
Yes.
So I wasn't getting into firefights as often. So, which actually kind of surprises me because going into this, I told you after I beat Metal Gear Solid 1, I basically said I hated the stealth in the PS2 era games. Especially, or PS2 and PS3 era, technically, with 4 being on PS3. But I basically said I hated stealth in 3 and 4. And to a lesser extent, 2. And then I proceeded to destroy 2 and 3. In what were probably my best 2 runs of any Metal Gear Solid game to date. So, it's funny how that kind of works out sometimes. So, overall, Metal Gear Solid 3, one of the top games in the series for me. One of the top games ever for me, actually. So, yeah. I can't really think of too much negative to say about it. Apart from maybe some of the boss fights feeling a bit rote, like the Pain and the Shagohod fight. But just the atmosphere makes up for a lot of it. And, so the gameplay mechanics make up for a lot of it, in my opinion.
So, exit question here.
Okay.
Obviously, we all know, and we're all tired of talking about the issues between Konami and Kojima and the split and all of that. Obviously, Konami is trying to get out of video games for the most part, but Metal Gear seems to be one of those licenses that they want to continue working with. Would you hate it if they remade this game?
If it were Konami at the helm of it, probably. Because they would probably ruin a lot of what made this game right in the name of trying to...
But I think at this point, Konami is just the overall title. They would probably outsource the fuck out of it. So if it goes in decent hands... I mean, obviously, Twin Snakes wasn't the best reboot. I mean, they went over the top with some stuff. Whatever. But I'm just saying... If they could get the controls and the camera to work the way it did in 4, and I'm sure, you haven't been able to play Ground Zeroes yet. But how amazing the controls are in that game. Have that, and then you can open up 3 even more. Because 3, yes, you're outside and stuff, but you're confined a lot. So I'm just curious what you would think because there's not a lot more stories you can tell in the series.
Yeah.
If they just went back and retold some of these with the newer stuff. Would you, because I'm sure the internet would be really mad.
Yeah.
Because obviously Kojima would not be a part of it.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious what your thoughts would be.
It would really depend on which developer it is, and it would really depend on what kind of changes they would be looking to make.
Because this is a series we both love.
Yeah.
And I think it would be one of those things, and we're all going to hit it when Final Fantasy VII comes out. I'm super excited for the remake of 7 whenever it finally comes out. But I guarantee people are going to go, well, this is not exactly how this scene went down.
That's exactly. It's already starting to happen because I forget who exactly it was, but one of the big name producers / developers of the game has basically already said there's going to be a lot of drastic changes made mechanically to Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, and people need to just go, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. But I also kind of worry about it. I mean, if it does have, obviously there's no rumors even, but I've been playing a bit of that Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse game, and my only issue with it, other than like the hub world is annoying a little bit, is most of the voice actors are completely different, and just that little thing is driving me nuts. And obviously, if they remade 3, most of the voice actors would be different.
Yeah,
and everyone freaked out
when Kiefer Sutherland got the nod for Big Boss during Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain.
Which, I'm sorry guys, Big Boss was voiced by somebody different in 4. Calm down. But I'm just curious if I would have an issue with everyone just sounding different.
Well, the thing with 4 is it made thematic sense because Big Boss is using Solidus's vocal cords, and Solidus's voice actor voices Big Boss in 4.
Oh, I didn't even know that. But there you go. I'm just saying, would it bug you?
It would bug me because I've actually kind of made the decision at this point that the Phantom Pain is going to be the last Konami game I buy. And then after that point, it's going to take a lot for me to even pay attention to anything Konami does. Even if it is a remake of Snake Eater. Even if it, and actually, honestly, now that I think about it, if they announced a remake of Snake Eater, I would just flip the screen off. Unless it was Kojima behind it. I honestly think that, I don't think I'm alone in this sentiment.
No, you're not, because people keep saying how terrible Konami is and how they're going down the hole. They're trying to get out of video games. Their business is going to strive and make way more money in the products that they are focusing on now. And people need to drop it. I'm so tired of it. Listen, we don't know what's going on. Kojima could be in the wrong in all of this. We don't know. We're way on the outside of all of this stuff. But because we love Metal Gear and Kojima's behind it, he is the victim in all of this.
Yeah.
We don't know. People, leave Konami alone. It might not even be their fault.
Totally plausible. But at any rate, got a little bit off track there.
What we do.
Yeah. So, that has been the episode for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. We will see you back here in 1 week's time for the episode for Guns of the Patriots. See you next mission, folks.